So it's 2:30. We'll start our HR meeting. Just a minute. Oh, good. I think, oh yeah, Dr. LeMay just admitted himself. So before we get started, I didn't put this in the agenda and I should have, so I'll try to remember the next time that we always need to approve the prior month's minutes. But first, I've been reminded that we need to take a roll call of the HR members. So, Mark Swistek?
Present.
Mary Lou, present. Mary O'Neill?
Present.
Okay. And oh, wait a minute, here comes George Jeff. Oh, did you admit her, Dr. LeMay? Georgetta? Yeah, she's here. Okay. Georgetta, we're taking roll call, so I'll put you down.
Bless you, Mary.
Thank you.
I thought you were blessing the dog behind me that just barked.
Bless Fido.
Yeah, bless Fido. So I think that's all our members that we have for today. So the other thing is I did send out an agenda to the town council and also to our members and Pam Krieger with last month's minutes. So will somebody, one of the members, make a motion to approve or have me correct them?
Motion to approve the minutes from the previous meeting.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, who said second?
Georgetta.
Oh, thanks, Georgetta. Okay, so first we want to welcome to our new board member, Mary O'Neill. And Mary, it's just so you know, it's very cold here today, so you're not missing anything. Yesterday was really nice. Okay, and then Sarah Pluster, who is our park board director. Mark and I met with her last week, was it, Mark?
Yeah.
Okay. And which was nice, she wanted to have a meeting with her counselors and they're always organizing and planning for the summer camp. So we met with her and talked to her about a few things. And so I wanted her to go on first because we have some other things to discuss. And by the way, Sarah, you're more than welcome to stay on, but I just thought maybe you would be interested. So what we did when we sat down with her is she had a list of what she's used in the past for her orientation, and she was very thorough. And we then gave her a few other things. We have a new time card that we'll discuss later on in this meeting. And then Mark talked to her about that the park program now reports to the chief marshal. I'm not sure of his official title, town/manager. So I'm going to let Sarah talk to this, but just to give everybody an idea, I think we're very fortunate that she doesn't have turnover in the people that are actually directing it. They're teachers in the school district. And so the one that was her assistant director is moving. So she's not going to replace her. And I'll let Sarah speak to this because I think she's better at it than I am. And I will mute myself, Sarah, so you don't hear the dog.
Hi, I'm Sarah, for those of you that don't know.
Wait a minute. Yeah.
Something's happening with your sound, Sarah.
Yeah, we're having trouble.
She can stop the recording. Will that help with her sound?
No, I wouldn't.
Have been looking at what we are and let your head.
Sarah, try and move away from further away from your computer.
Let me try this. Hold on.
Bob, I'm not sure she heard you. Dr. LeMay said
Is
try
that
to move.
better?
Yes.
That was better?
Yes, so start over.
Oh, good. Okay. You are so wise, Dr. LeMay. I was analyzing, going into this summer at what we are paying our staff and what we expect of our staff in regards to not only the planning and preparation, but the care of the children that we serve. And last year, started the process of looking to provide a raise, but that was also when the town at large was looking at how to handle raises and a bunch of other things pertaining to full and part-time employees, which doesn't really apply to us. The majority of my staff is considered seasonal or temporary, and so we don't fall under a lot of those categories. I'm reapproaching this year. My assistant of 11 years is actually moving to be closer to family, and we, instead of replacing her, I am proposing that we eliminate her position for this summer and distribute what I would normally allocate for or pay to go towards my directors as well as a raise for my counselors. I keep track of what camps in the area, to the best of my ability, are offering as employment options, pay, things like that, and we are pretty far below what I have access to at this time. And so currently counselors are making $9.50 an hour, and I would be asking for them to make $11 an hour. And our directors, the 4 that are remaining coming back this year, what they're making is kind of all over the board, from when they were added to if they received a raise during the summer. So I'm asking for a uniform hourly wage for them of $15 an hour. Mind you, as Mary Lou said, they are all certified licensed educators. They also keep abreast of the CPR, AED, all those certifications as well, which is something that's huge for working with children, especially during the summer months, during activity time. And I ran the numbers on it, and we allocate $20,000 through the park board for total pay for everybody besides me for summer activities. And this would be adding maybe $200 to our projected payroll, which is still almost $700 under the budget allocated.
Hey, Sarah.
Yeah.
When we met last week also, we talked about, and if you could maybe briefly discuss that, how we're going to be raising the costs for the summer camp attendees, which will also bring in some additional revenue. If you could touch on that.
So that has not been approved yet. I still have to present that at the park board meeting on the 22nd of this month. But we are looking at increasing rates because they have not been increased for 4 years. And it keeps pace, and we're still the most reasonably priced camp in our area to date, as well as a camp that doesn't come with fees. Some require joining other organizations and committees. We would be rating daily rates and full summer rates for both resident and non-resident people attending. I don't want to share those rates yet because they've not been approved, but we are looking to increase across the board. Last summer we had a record summer. We had over 200 children enroll in summer camp, and that was a huge number for us. Over 90 of those kids were full summer participants. That's huge for us, and so we want to be sure that we're getting the quality individuals that we need to care for children, especially at that number capacity.
Sarah, this is Mary O'Neill. How far below, like say there's the Michiana, how far below are you with fees?
Well,
Because
Michiana,
it's not like we're fresh air camp where we're subsidizing people. How far below, just for instance?
Michiana does not release their, they're one of the ones that has changed how they apply. So you have to first join their women's club. And once you pay the $60 fee to join the women's club, they personally email you the application. So unless I join their women's club, they will not share their application like they once did with me. But like Michigan City is doing a program that is similar. It's a full day program, and they also partner with summer school. So there are some variables there. But we would be within $5 of what they're charging currently, what's currently posted on their website per week.
which is,
$55.
okay, to me, that's a steal. I've always felt like, in a lot of ways, like the community center, really should be more self-sustaining. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I would think the vast majority of children or grandchildren attending camp can well afford it. And, if you've got good quality people and you want to keep them, maybe you need to raise it even more than you were considering. Just
The way that our funding works is the money that comes from summer camp does not go directly back into summer camp. It goes back into the park board funds as a whole. Based on my record keeping, we always bring in enough income to cover our supplies and materials, which are directly provided to the children. And so for me, that's always been my primary goal. Based on my numbers, we are still a long ways from being able to fully cover all of our staffing with the income from summer camp, just by sheer size and number of people attending. But we're close. We're not far off for sure, especially after last summer. Last summer was an exception where we hit numbers that I have never seen in all my many years doing this.
right. And what do you base your numbers on? Do you think it'll be the same this year or maybe a little less?
I honestly think it'll be fairly comparable. We've already had people reaching out to us that were new last summer. We had a lot of people coming because there wasn't stuff still available yet to do for COVID, or there were restrictions about things. And many of those families have already reached out inquiring about how it goes this year, because last year was their first experience. So I predict our numbers will be fairly stable this year, especially because, like Michiana, who you referenced earlier, they still have a cap because they're in Michigan on how many kids they can have because of COVID, and they have to, per their regulations, have to provide proof of vaccination in order to attend. So theirs is a bit more rigid than ours do, which was part of why we ended up with a lot more kids last year as well. Places were asking things that families were not comfortable with.
And the other thing, Mary, that it was really nice to meet with Sarah. Mark and I enjoyed it. But if I'm not a resident of Long Beach, I wouldn't pay as much as someone that, let's say, lived in Michiana and wanted to come over here. So there is a differentiation. We take our people first, or they get the discount. So Mark and I talked to Sarah, and that she knows that the only thing the Human Resource Committee can do is recommend this to the town council, which we wanted to bring it up at the March meeting. And that's why she worked on the numbers, and I'll get with her after the meeting, so I'm prepared for the town council meeting. But I think it's a win-win type of thing. She's done a lot of amazing things, and I think keeps active and keeps everybody informed.
And Sarah, if you can get us that email sometime next week talking about the deputy director not being replaced, and then the overall cost savings and what you think it's going to cost, total hours, because the council, I'm certain, will want to hear that as well. So we'll have those numbers.
Great.
Yeah, and we'll make sure if you get that to me, we'll present that. And I think with the numbers that you provided, it was a real eye opener for me. I told her I avoid that area during. How many hours are you there? 4?
We're there. The staff is there 3 hours in the morning, but there are definitely many children present during that 3 hour.
But it's nice. It's nice to hear their little voices and running around. So anything else, Sarah, that you wanted to add?
No, I will share my spreadsheet that I have, so you guys have time to review it and ask me questions. And to whom do I share it with?
Could you share it with Mark and me?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. That would be great. Okay. And then we'll present it. Feel free to come on at the town council meeting. It's a week from Monday.
I am always on.
Good. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Sarah.
So the next thing that you got in your packet was the time card for employees. And I'm gonna open it up for a minute, but then I want Mark to speak to this because I'm really excited. One of the first things I noticed when I was in the town is that we had 7 different timesheets. And I thought it was just, well, it was not easy to keep track of everything and just from a record keeping or the State Board of Accounts. And so I want to compliment, first of all, Mark and then Renee, who is the silent person in the background, I think, that does a lot of this. And then the other thing is I want to compliment our HR consultant, Pam, because I don't have the wherewithal to do this, but Mark wanted to know if she could have one where they could fill in if they do it electronically. So Pam came through for us on that. So the first one is, anyway, I'm going to let Mark speak to this because he's really the author.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. As Mary Lou stated, currently there are a minimum of 6 to 7 timesheets for the various departments within the town of Long Beach. Our goal was, and actually I had a very productive meeting this week with both Greg and Tom, and they also confirmed that they have been asking for several years to go to one unified timesheet across the entire town. So we came up with, and I'm going to see if I can pull it up here and share it. Should be coming up here.
We've got it, Mark. Yeah.
All right, very good. So this would be the Town of Long Beach biweekly payroll record. This will be a fillable form, so it can be filled out on a PC or the employees can fill it out by hand. You would have the employee's name, the department, for instance, could be park department, water, street. Our dates, there was some confusion before on how the 2 weeks were tracked in the town. We've now corrected that we start at 12:01 a.m., which is that Sunday. It runs for 2 weeks to Saturday at midnight. We'll have an area in there to put what pay period it is. Like, you know, currently I believe we're in the, 4 already. Date, start time, end time, and hours. And what I've found in reviewing some of the timesheets across the town employees is some employees will just put 2 hours down. We have no idea if they work 10 a.m. to noon, 2 in the afternoon to 4. We've got to correct this because the State Board of Accounts in the past has wanted us to do a better job in keeping track of our time. It allows an area in there for the employee to put any comments. For instance, the street and water gentlemen, if they're out, if they have a snow call out to come out and plow, they would have an additional entry, say with today's date, March 3rd, they would put 10 p.m. to midnight, called out to, you know, plow snow. They put in 2 hours and it'd be 2 hours of overtime. And then the employee can either initial or sign after each entry is made. The bottom section would be completed by the payroll clerk, which Renee Richardson will be assuming those responsibilities. Renee, the timesheets would be turned in to my office by 10 a.m. of the pay week on that Tuesday, no later than that. We're going to ask for them all on Monday. We will then go through, we will total the hours, any holiday pay, any overtime. Their hourly rate will be written in. We'll come up with the total hourly rate. And then on the right-hand side, we'll track any overtime hours. It'll have any overtime that the employee may incur during that time. We then would take the overtime and the regular pay to come up with the gross combined pay. And then at the bottom, we have an area to keep track of our PTO usage. So if an employee takes a week's vacation, that would be 40 hours of PTO use. They would write in 40 hours. The payroll clerk would. We would put the PTO balance in. And then on the authorized portion, I would be signing off on those before sending them over to the clerk's office for double checking and final issuance of the paychecks. And then, is there any questions on that before we go to the time supplemental sheet? John Wall, Dr. LeMay, are you guys good with that? I think John.
Good to me.
Okay. Let me pull up the other one.
Yeah, it's good to me, Mark. My only suggestion earlier on was if you had maybe a couple extra lines you could remove so you could make it a one-page form, but however you shake it out, it's fine with me.
It's
No,
down to one page, John.
Yeah, it'll make it, John. We took that recommendation that you had, and we were able to do that. We took 2 lines out, and it fits perfectly. So yeah, thank you.
Super, super.
All right, let me find. Let's see here. Okay. All right. In addition to that, there will be a second form for our payroll keeping records, and this will be the Town of Long Beach Time Supplemental Card. This card will only be used for 2 occasions. That would be for overtime compensation. Any employee that works any additional hours would be required to fill this out. And then any employee that is absent from work when using PTO would be required to fill this out so that we have proper tracking for PTO. In the past, we haven't done a good job of doing that, and therefore this form will complete that task. Therefore, at the top, employee name. To the right, you have the date. And then this form's divided left and right. On the left-hand side, you'll have your worked hours. The first checkbox is overtime worked for however many hours. Again, we use street and water. They come out for 4 hours, and they're plowing on a Saturday afternoon. They would be required to fill out one of these time supplemental cards so that they get compensated properly for the extra work, for the 4 hours of overtime. Holiday pay, the deputies, the patrolmen that are out working on an actual holiday, they get paid straight time for every hour that they work on a holiday. So we put a block in there where they would just check. They would put down that they worked 12 hours, and that 12 hours would be at their straight time, normal hourly rate. The third spot is our part-time police deputies. We have a location on there for them because if they come in and work, we know that their hourly rate is $25. If they work 12 hours, they'll check the box, put 12 hours. Again, down below, start time and end time, very important. We want to know when you come to work and when you go home. So if there's any questions whatsoever, we're tracking, the time that the employees are here. And then any remarks down below. The example I used about the snow plowing, if Tom Dolph comes out, he plows for 4 hours, he checks overtime work, 4 hours, puts his start time in, his end time, and for remarks, he just puts in snow plowing. Then he would sign. The cards would all be turned in with his timekeeping record, and then I would sign off as the supervisor and the date of approval for Tom and Greg. If, say, for instance, Austin or Brent are turning in a time supplemental card, Greg or Tom would be signing because they're the immediate supervisors. Same thing would go for Deanna. If Deanna turns in any overtime or that, or Helen or Lynn, Clerk Perry would be signing those time supplemental cards and then forwarding them to us. And then our payroll clerk will be keeping them in a separate file cabinet under lock and key. So if they're ever to be audited by State Board of Accounts, we will have them. Right-hand side of that form is for time off. You would check the PTO dates. If you're taking off the whole week, let's say it was this week, you'd have February 28th through March 4th. Total PTO hours used, 40 hours. You would write 40 in there. We would then put the balance in there, so we make sure we're tracking the balance correctly. Any remarks, you could just write in, took a week's PTO time. And then we have a section for traded. This only applies for the police officers. Occasionally, they'll trade a shift with another officer where one may work midnights in place of the officer who works days. They just flip-flop the time that they're here. But I still want to know that, so we put a section in there. If they're going to trade, they'll fill out a card to do that. And then they would trade on below, it'd say the shift that they're trading and then the person that they're trading with. And then the same thing here, either Sergeant Schooley or myself will be signing any of the cards for the deputies. This form will be blue in color for police and then yellow in color for all other town employees. And that'll help us track, because we have 7 employees on the police side, and then the remainder of the employees are the town employees, and they'll be on yellow forms. And again, this is supplemental in addition to the timekeeping record, and it will be kept here, and then we'll have it available for review if there's ever any questions as to PTO usage or any overtime work. Any questions?
So the PTO balance, the employee is going to put the balance and then Renee is going to countersign that, or how's that going to work?
No, it'll go by the payroll clerk. Renee will write it in the balance there.
Yeah.
Dr. Lemay.
Renee has set up an Excel spreadsheet. So she will have it, she can fix it. So anytime she logs in a number of hours, she can program or subtracts and gives her what they have remaining. And Mark and I feel that will satisfy the State Board of Accounts for record keeping.
Yeah. So
Very
maybe
good.
on the
I'm sorry,
form,
Dr.
maybe
Lemay.
we should put out that that's going to be filled out by, I don't know if you want to put Renee's name, but town clerk or whatever.
Actually, we're what my plan is. I started with Greg and Tom this week. We're going to do individual training with the
Okay.
department heads. I started with Greg and Tom. They understood it. They know who needs to sign for who. And just for instance, if Greg, Tom, or myself are going on vacation, the three of us know that we're going to email each other to say, hey, I'm going to be out of the office for a week. And so, yeah, we had a great meeting earlier this week, and there'll be training given to even like Lou Mellon and others that'll be using this. Lou's timesheet is different than others. And then Lou, I'll be sitting down with him individually, showing him how to fill out the timekeeping records and stuff like that as well. So, but yeah, very good question.
Yeah, do you think maybe we should put in there parentheses to be filled out by the town under PTOR balance, just so that, I'm just concerned that employees might start filling that out if they're not adequately trained or forget.
Sure.
I mean, it's up to you.
Yeah, no, we can probably put something in parentheses, to be filled, or underneath it to be filled by payroll clerk. But then getting back to Mary Lou's point, we will have a separate Excel spreadsheet with an individual tab at the bottom for every employee. And then you'll be able to click on the tab. It'll show you the beginning PTO balance for the year for 2022. And then it will have an individual entry for every day that PTO was used throughout the year, taking that out of the balance. And then even if they were to sell back any PTO, it'll show the sell back hours, excuse me, as well. And then we'll have that tracking mechanism to make sure that we are double tracking the PTO usage on another form as well. And all employees will be required, to turn that into us to track it. So one central location for the approving of payroll and the tracking of payroll. And then the clerk's office will be charged with maintaining the timekeeping records there, and then that's where we'll get them if we need to review them. They'll be in the clerk Perry's office. And that'll be when he issues the checks. After issuing the checks, then that form will be filed to the end of the year.
Thank you, Mark. I think it's a great job.
Thank you.
Any other questions? So let's move on to item number 4, which is at the town council meeting in February, we approved a consultant to work with the town, and that's Pam Krieger. If you haven't met her before, she's a lifelong resident of Long Beach and has, we won't say how many years of experience in HR, but it's a lot. So we welcome her, and one of the things that she started working on early on, if you remember last year, we had a 3-month contract where she was updating the handbook and the policy statements. And she knows it's important. We want to get a resolution and have it approved at the March Town Council meeting. I think one of the things that we need to, she's now had to go back in and change Mark's title, because before it didn't say that. So we have had some things that kind of held us back on that. But Mark, or Dr. LeMay, what is his official title, please?
Police chief, and then Mark, help me, / what was the second part we added?
Wasn't it town administrator?
That was it. That's it. Yep.
Because I think Chris Willoughby said if we made it town manager, there's some different legal things. But so we'd call him chief marshal / town administrator.
Chief of police, town administrator, right?
Okay.
Does that work, Mark?
Yeah, that's fine, Doc. I have no issue with that. Yeah, I just know we couldn't go with town manager because of the statutory requirements.
Yeah, right.
Okay. So Pam, that's what his new title will be. Do you think we can have that ready for to have a resolution for it for the March meeting, which is a week from Monday?
Well, I don't know why not. I mean, you're talking about, I guess the only thing that, and I've mentioned this before, we need to make sure we have the appropriate job description on file. I think we have most of those parts, but I don't have them all.
Okay.
And you're saying you want the council to authorize that title, right?
Oh, we want to have a resolution at the Monday, March 14th meeting that the new handbook has been approved by the council, but they have to see the new handbook before we can approve
Oh,
it.
you were talking about something else. Yes, I know that. And
Okay.
I'm hoping, let's see, that's 2 weeks yet.
It's a week from Monday.
Yeah, right. Well, yeah, right, a week from Monday. What we will have, with all of the, council members and you guys and everybody, it is a final version.
Okay.
Well, that's all I can do. I mean, take the draft off and number the pages and make whatever changes we still talk about. I have to still go over that again regarding Mark's position, and I want to make sure that when it comes to things that Mark has taken on, that our policies and procedures reflect that to the employees, such as, get this item from the town manager or the town administrator, as opposed to the clerk treasurer before. You know what I'm saying? So I'm looking at that, and I will go over that with Mark. There's not a whole lot of it, but I don't want to misspeak in the handbook.
Okay.
So anyway,
Mary Lou, the other thing is, and I think that's what Pam was referring to initially, it's just that the original town manager job description that we came up with, we probably need to take that and convert it to fit more of what my duties will be in my job description. So we have the proper, job description done.
Mark, do you
I have that.
have that? He would not, in my opinion, Dr. Might, please feel free to speak in. He would not be, in the beginning when we were recruiting someone, we wanted them to be over the building commission, or the building commission, right? And so that would not be included in there.
Yeah, and there was language about grants and things too. So we need to probably look that over with Mark. And, basically I think all we're going to be doing is deleting some things that we had included in that original.
So do you have a copy of that, Bob?
I'm sure I can find it, yeah.
Okay, then you want to send it to Mark and me, and then I'll stop in and see, and we can mark it up and get it back to you for you to look at.
Yep, that sounds great.
Get it to me sometime.
Oh, well, after we mark it up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I get everything marked up. I know. That's
All right,
okay.
so sounds great. All right, one of the things, Mark, and I think, Mark, it probably goes in new business, so I'll wait till we get down there about the salary survey. Is that okay with you, the longevity? Okay. Is there any other new business anybody can think of? And thanks for working with me on this. Sometimes I feel like I missed something, but I'm trying to keep notes in the same time.
Mary Lou, with Mark's new title, have you also audited for the salary that goes with that? Is it going to be an increase in salary?
He did get an increase in salary, but Georgette,
Okay.
It's kind of like one of those hybrid jobs that when you try to do a survey on it, so I'm not sure, we're not really surveying exempt positions, it's usually the town positions. And so I would doubt that it would be in there. So
No, not a survey, an audit.
Oh,
A position audit.
okay, I don't know if I understand what you mean.
Okay, when you look at a position description, then you make sure that any responsibilities, new responsibilities, or responsibilities taken away also have an attach to it a value, a monetary value.
Okay.
And so then because the person could say, not Mark, would say, well, I've done all these things and I have not been adequately compensated according to the standards, in the industry,
Okay.
for what he does. So that just has to be rather clear when you
Okay, we'll take a look at that. Thank you.
Okay.
So under old, is there any other new business?
Mary Lou, I know we're going to talk about this, an update on the job posting for the part-time secretary for the
Right.
building commission. I think we need to also discuss today and have a recommendation ready for the next town council meeting, because there's going to be some questions raised by any individual that's interested in that job opening, what we are going to be paying that part-time clerk. So my recommendation would be that we set it at or no higher than $19 an hour, which is what we currently pay our other two part-time clerical staff. I know we have some in other commissions and that may be paid slightly more. I think starting out that this position should pay at least $19, no more than what we're paying our current secretaries. I'll use an example. Just driving to lunch today on WeFM, I heard one of the local insurance companies looking for clerical staff in their office starting out at $20 an hour for clerical staff. So I think 19 is a fair number to start at, but we need to have a recommendation for the town council to consider, because if we're going to hire this individual in the next month or so, we need to have at least a discussion of what, if we begin conversations with somebody, what we would compensate them at.
Okay, I'd be happy to make that recommendation to the council on the 14th. Okay.
I'd make the motion then that we recommend to the full town council at the March 14th meeting that the part-time building secretary be compensated at $19 per hour as our other part-time clerical staff are.
Okay, do I hear a second?
Second.
Thanks, Mary. Okay, now we have to go roll call because it is a Zoom meeting. So Mark?
Aye.
Mary?
Aye.
Georgetta?
Aye.
And Mary Lou, aye. Okay. All right, I'd be happy to do that.
Is there, Mary Lou, is there a cap on the number of hours for that secretary, or?
I believe in the ad that Pam put in the feature, and then we put it some other places. Didn't we say about 20 hours a week, Pam?
Really?
20.
Well, yeah, I expect it'll be less than 20 hours a week, but the max is going to be 20 hours a week, which is a general part-time position, as opposed to somebody who works less than 40 but over 20. And so my concern now, yeah, it's 20. We've posted 20 hours a week. I think it might start out less. There might be tasks added as that person is trained, but.
Here's what Mark and I have talked about. We both want to find a place in-house, because the whole thought was 2 days a week. Let's just say 9 to 4. Contractors, anybody could come in and they deal with that person, and that way it doesn't take away from the other work that's going on. If they have any downtime, they can work on their minutes from the prior building commission meeting, or they can work on the agenda.
Right.
With Larry Wall. And then on I think it's either the second Friday of the month, they have a meeting, and that usually runs a couple hours, sometimes 3. And so we wanted them to take minutes on that. But the whole point was, if they're not going to be able to sit there and read a book, we have plenty of work that can be done in the town insides. And you know, that's what we expect. It's not where you bring your book if nobody comes in, or you're knitting or something.
Well, if they're going to be interacting with the contractors coming in,
Mm-hmm.
and I look at that as something that might not happen right away, because there's a training factor there as far as learning what to tell them and how to do this and how to do that.
Well, that's why we want Deanna there to oversee it, because that's the person that's been handling it.
But ultimately, I can see 20 hours for sure.
Yeah. So that's
But
our
I
whole.
don't see it going over that. And if it does, that's okay too. It's still part-time, but there would be some changes, and it would be a change of status of source, and there would be some changes in benefits, maybe.
Well, yeah, but we'll
My
see.
concern right now is that we've advertised at least 3 weeks, I think, now in the Beecher. And I think, Mark, you put it on your Facebook page. I don't know. I couldn't find it. But
I saw it.
Did you? Good. The bottom line is I have had no responses, not one. And that's really odd. But, I mean, I know it's out there. And
Okay.
I should, yes.
I'm sorry. So, yes, we did. We put it on the website. We put it on Facebook. And then on Tuesday, it started yesterday. I'm running an ad in the local papers for $106. We went ahead to run an advertisement. It'll go in the Herald Argus, yes. So we'll have that running through next Wednesday. So I'm hoping that's going to generate something since I think there were no.
That, yeah.
Since I've seen there were no applications received thus far, I figured it would behoove us to spend $106 to get it in the local papers.
Oh, yeah, that's very reasonable. And I think, you know, we just don't want to reach out too far because it's a part-time position. You don't want somebody traveling too terribly far, you know, or something like that. But I also put it on the Next Door News, and I thought I'd get a hit or two there, and I didn't. I was just real disappointed. But anyway, I'm glad you're doing that. And is it the same ad? Mark?
Yeah, yes, it's the same ad that you had sent, and it'll run through next Wednesday.
Cool. Okay, great. I'll watch for it. I'll just be happy to get some resumes.
Some hits for it.
There's a process we go through after we get them, and I'm just anxious to get something.
Okay. So the next item is the 2022 salary survey. And Pam, we still want to be on target to have something, I want to say by mid to late April, because the Budget and Finance Committee need to plan. And so.
I think that's very reasonable.
Okay, that's good. That's what I wanted to hear.
I was, if you were going to say March, I was going to say no.
Yeah. Yeah, no, but.
Yeah.
And then we also, in that, we want to make sure we include, just for our own knowledge, we would like to know if we're surveying, do they have longevity? Is it based on their number of years? Does it go up in increments? And so it's an education process so that we're all aware of what the surrounding area is doing.
Right. My one question about that is, and we talked about this before, the last salary survey that was contracted were specific towns.
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
Towns were contacted. They were all certain towns. I don't know of any of them, because I've checked this, I don't know that any of those towns participated in the AIM survey last year. I don't know about this year, but last year. The AIM survey has everything in it. Has all the longevity stuff. It has everything.
Well, we would want to survey.
And I'll reach out more, but I'm just wanting.
We would want to survey towns that usually our point of reference has been, since I've been back on the council, it's Burns Harbor, it's Westville, Chesterton, Portage. Yeah. So we would. I don't care if you use the AIM, but I would still like. And most of those people will participate with us. Bill was on a first name basis with them, and they were very cooperative.
I've contacted them before. I've talked to those people before, and you know, we also have that impact network from AIM. That's the personnel group that has a network of just for that, just to get information from each other.
Okay.
They just had a thing that I received about sending their PTO policies out to everybody to see how they were doing them and what they were doing. And I mean, they're a valuable resource.
Oh, right. I'm on that. I get their.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah, I get that.
I'm sure we can have a good, accurate survey done like mid-April for sure.
Okay. That would be perfect. The last thing that I have on old business is the health insurance update. Now, I had Renee send, I hope Mary got it on what our current.
Yeah, she had sent it to the wrong email address, but I did get it yesterday or the day before. So.
Okay, I'm sorry, because I'm the one that.
No problem.
Okay. All right, well, we'll make sure, I'll apologize to Renee, but.
Not a problem.
So, Mark and I have a meeting next Wednesday to talk to, is it general insurance?
That's correct. I met yesterday with Michiana Insurance. They're still working on our proposals, and then general insurance, I've been informed, has the proposals ready. We'll meet with them next Wednesday at 9 a.m. here at the town hall.
Okay.
So, quick question. Did you renew with our current one? Because I saw that had expired, or?
No, it renewed, I believe, in the fall, doesn't it, Mark? With Anthem?
Yes. We're with Anthem, Blue Cross Blue Shield,
Okay.
through First Source Bank. So we renewed with them. We're on a month-to-month contract. We can cancel at any time. The only thing we're doing, Mary, is we're just looking to see if, in fact, the plan we have now may be an excellent plan, but we haven't gone out into the marketplace in many, many years. So we wanted to get out into the marketplace, see what's available out there, make some comparisons, and then here in the next several months, we'll make a decision if we should change or not. And we'll see what it comes back to.
And the nice part is Mark has included, this was even before he became the town administrator, he and Dr. LeMay had me sit down and talk to the street and water after, I think it was our November, December meeting. And then that was just, it kind of opens things up. Do you guys have any other thing you want to, this was just about what we discussed at the HR meeting.
Mm-hmm.
And at least two of them brought up the fact about that the deductible, excuse me, in the health plan had gone up tremendously.
Yeah.
And so I said, okay, I'll be, let me take a look at that. Let me go back and look at it. And then I do have a relationship with some of the people in the office. And I wouldn't know. I'm not on the renewal, so I am glad to know. I told, actually, one of the employees was having trouble last year with their insurance. And they said, will you help me? I said, well, you have to give me permission to be your advocate. So I just went in the office and sat next to him, and she called, and then I talked to him, and I think we got it all resolved. But Mark and I have talked about that. One of my other jobs in life was an advocate for people need to learn what their benefits are and know how to use them. And, insurance companies or doctor's office miscode things, and then you're stuck with the whole bill. Or they deny something and maybe it wasn't explained correctly. So you just need somebody. And that's one of the things that Mark and I are looking at, having an advocate, finding that person that would help the employees. And we don't have a huge amount of employees, but I think it makes them feel like, oh, gee, somebody cares. So that's one of the things we're looking at.
Mary Lou?
Yeah.
Another thing, just for the group's knowledge, is that during one of my meetings with one of the local vendors, I was informed that, and when I was in Michigan City, we talked about doing this several years ago, is taking the large municipalities, LaPorte County government, LaPorte City, Michigan City area schools, and bringing LaPorte County, the largest ones, together and going into one healthcare provider. That is still what I was informed a couple weeks ago in the works. It may be 2-3 years down the road. But if they do get there, that could be substantial savings for like the town of Long Beach, Trail Creek, and all of us together. So at least there's a good group of people out there working towards that common goal of trying to find, common health care for all in LaPorte County.
Well, it makes it a win-win, reasonable for the town and reasonable for them, because one of the things you want to do, now we don't have an older workforce, but we have people so you want to spread those claims, because usually when I dealt with insurance, the older our workforce, the bigger liability we had, only because as we grow older, things happen and you need more health care. That when you're younger, you don't have to have as much, just a routine every, once a year. So
the other thing is it helps, as Dr. LeMay will probably recall from his career there, with the in-network, out-of-network, the physicians then will recognize that, say UMR or Anthem is, the main provider, and then you'll have better coverage, and it'll be easier for the physicians as well if you're in LaPorte County. So probably some good things on the horizon.
And the other thing is, I do want to thank Mark. He's taken the lead role in this, and because that's probably some of the things he did at his prior job, and it's been a big help. So he's bringing in these people, and they, even though we're just a small account, they're taking an interest in us.
Good.
Yeah. So any other old business anybody can think of? Okay. Any public comments? I see John and Dr. LeMay are only public ones. So anything else?
Nothing for me, Mary Lou.
Okay, thanks, John. So our next meeting will be Thursday, April 7th at 2:30. Oh, Mark, go ahead.
Mary, I just thought of this. Have you or Dr. LeMay spoke with Attorney Willoughby reference preparing a resolution for the updated policies in town handbook? Because we'll need that to have it approved. And Pam, are we correct? You're going to want that. You're going to add it to the handbook too, the resolution number and all that? I think.
Oh, yeah. The resolution number goes on the front.
Yeah, so
Okay.
we need to, I don't know if anybody's been in communication with Chris as of yet. I'll be more than happy to do it, or I just don't know if someone's reached out.
I'll do that as soon as we're done, and I'll copy all of my committee and the council.
And he probably could just find the previous one from 2017 when it was last done and just update it.
Or probably,
Talking about the last resolution.
do you have it, Pam?
I might. I don't know that I know I had the number because I put
Well,
it.
don't worry about it. We can find it.
I want to know if everybody looked at those few changes that were coming up this last week. I sent out some of those. I didn't send out all of it because I just got some of it today. But is there anybody still looking for some change? We had, there's some discussion about the anti-nepotism or anti-nepotism policy, and there was discussion about adding more language to it. I think Dr. LeMay wanted to, and I don't know who else. My recommendation about that would be, if anything, it should have less information in it, but the key to the handbook is just to explain to all employees that this is a procedure that's part of our process. It isn't necessarily totally defined. That procedure is defined to those people who need to do it. And those people who need those positions, they need to know about that before they ever take a position or run for office or whatever. You know, because there's two factions of the nepotism policy. One has to do with hiring relatives, and the other one has to do with contractors and filling out forms saying you're not related or whatever to this, that, or the other thing. And that's not new. We've had it forever. And I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying this is this is just my opinion, but I don't think we should make any changes. I think keeping the Indiana code numbers in there is okay. If somebody wanted to read it, they can click on it and read it, you know, but I mean, put it in their computer and read it. That's just my feeling about it. I really would not want to have that whole thing as part of the nepotism policy. It's redundant, and it's information for this. The handbook is what people need to know about our policies. Our policies are what administrators and department heads and the management need to know, that because the policies contain procedures and blah, blah, blah. If you get my drift. I mean, if you want more in the handbook, that's fine. I personally don't think it's a good idea or necessary.
Yeah, the concern I had was that the highlighted policy that's in the handbook would require us to fire our building commissioner, and that's not acceptable. I think that portion needs to be taken out because it's more restrictive than the state statute.
Our policy is?
Absolutely. If you read that, our building commissioner would have to be fired.
So, okay. Well, I'll look at that, and we'll get back with you about it. I agree. We certainly want to be clear. We don't want to say anything that is detrimental to our operation. So I'll look at those and see how it comes out. Okay.
And I agree, Pam. What Dr. LeMay says we make that change, but then we should put a reference to the state statute in there, as you indicated. We don't need to have it spelled out, but just have the reference in there with the IC code. We've typically done that in other policies before. You just make a reference to state statute.
Well, yeah, I mean, people don't even want to read it. But in your procedures that go along with policy, you're going to need to, I think those need to be beefed up. in that, when do you tell people about this? Somebody who thinks they're going to run for a council spot should know this, before they ever put their name on the ballot. And department heads who are going to be promoted into a department head position, or someone going to be appointed to a commission or anything like that. We need to make sure that before they get there, they know all of this and they can meet the certified requirements. You know what I'm saying? And maybe we do that. I just would like to have that procedure spelled out so that if somebody doesn't know what to do, we would catch it from the very beginning.
Pam, I have a couple little changes coming your way as well. Nothing major, so I'll get that out to the group. It's just changing like police commission to police advisory board and that.
Oh yeah, well that's what I need, because I know there are changes that I want to make sure we catch them all before we publish. That's for sure.
Okay.
Very good, thank you.
All right, so do we have a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Okay.
26 p.m.
And I have a second?
Second.
Thanks, Mary. All right, thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
I'll see you next month or sooner.
Thank you.
Thank you.
John, I'll see you at 4 p.m.